Well, hello and welcome to another episode of LeapCast, a Leadership Pensacola podcast. I am your host, at least for this episode, Mike White, class of 2024, here with class of 2025's chair and my co-chair for my class, Scott Laedlein. Scott, how are you, sir?
Doing well.
Good.
I was class of 2020.
Yeah, class of 2020. Ooh, we got to get into that one. So tell me a little bit about you. I know you got a pretty heavy background in the Navy. Thank you for your service, by the way. So tell me a little bit about your background.
I joined the Navy mostly out of a lack of any other options. Quite honestly, just looking for something fun to do. Mm-hmm. My plan was to stay in for 4 years and then move on into the business world. Yeah. I got in and it just kept seeming like one good deal after another. So multiple deployments, and in the last 30 years, if there was a major conflict, I was fortunate or unfortunate enough to go and participate from an aviation background, carrier based, and through that, loads of learning opportunities where it came to being led and leading those that are less experienced and leading peers, and quite honestly, and many times leading those that are senior to you. I call that leading up. Trying to get those that are your bosses to do what you know to be the right thing because they may be lacking details and information.
Yeah. Okay.
So
yeah. Awesome.
That was the Navy background. Then, like I said, I retired in 2019, went through class in 2020, just kind of walked across the street there on base and the site manager for the simulator systems for the Navy.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah, that's definitely, I'd say, a good way to get involved and to find that next step after, 30 years in the Navy is doing Leadership Pensacola in 2020, which happened to be a COVID year. So tell me a little bit about that experience.
So that one, it was we were actually coming back from Japan when everything started shutting down.
Oh, wow.
Our class managed to get everything done except the healthcare day. That was done virtually, and it really didn't have any real good quality to it. It was just non-participation, people just watching a video.
Yeah. I think about our healthcare day, and I'm like, I can't imagine that in a virtual setting.
And so we ended up not doing military day. Then we waited around until May when things seemed to be lightening up, and we did our graduation. And as a result of graduation, I want to say like 4 or 5 folks ended up with COVID after that. So it was just one of those but the class still through all that stays pretty tight. We've got a good solid nucleus of stuff.
Okay.
Still get together.
Did y'all finish your project? I think I remember you on the Monica Sanford show saying that y'all hadn't finished your project.
Well, our class had 2 projects.
Okay.
And the Leadership Pensacola program has vacillated in the number of projects that get done, and it seems like doing one project really kind of brings things together better. We tried doing 2 projects. One was a reading and trying with an elementary school so they could get bikes, and we completed that project. The other project, we ran into supply chain issues with trying to redo the softball and baseball pitching equipment that is at the Goofy Golf.
Okay.
So waiting on those pieces to come together, and we're just now actually getting those pieces back together. We're waiting until a couple of the motors have been rebuilt, and then this fall we're hoping to finish that project actually.
Nice. Is it going to be like kind of like we did for Valerie's house when we finished our project for the class of 2024? But we're going to do like a party, kind of like a celebratory thing.
That's the hope.
Okay.
That's the hope. I think really what we want to do is make sure that the facilities are there for the community.
Okay.
There's nothing, I think, south of 9 Mile Road for any sort of pitching machines.
Yeah. And you said when's the potential completion date?
This fall.
This fall?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
this episode's coming out in October, so this will be October when this comes out. So it might be done by then, might be coming up.
Probably November-ish is what I'm hoping. Of course, you run into the holidays and you try and make all that work and find couple of weekends that we can do that last minute type of stuff.
Absolutely. So you're this year's class chair. Last year you were my co-chair with Robbie. Tell me a little bit about your experience with Leap, and then what you hope to bring from that into this role, kind of leading the class, and kind of what you expect or what you're hoping for?
So I decided to go through LEAP because I wanted to, no kidding, find something that I could latch onto in, the theoretical Navy retirement phase, which what I ended up latching onto was LEAP. I was looking to find a nonprofit or some sort of organization that I could get heavily involved in that pulled at my heartstrings. And the thing that pulled at my heartstrings most was this program because of its impact on this community.
Yeah.
The way it brings together leaders of all experiences and backgrounds is just fabulous. It creates this bond that I believe is a solid piece for why this community is growing and developing like it is. So to answer the second part of your question, when I had the opportunity to participate in the different days and help put those together, I jumped at that opportunity. One, because I get to get involved again. And then when I was asked, hey, would you like to do the co-chair and follow on with the chair, I jumped at that simply because it's an opportunity to put my own spin on what I would like to see Leadership Pensacola doing as it moves forward. And primarily that is really giving an opportunity for leaders to learn about leadership. We had great opportunities through all these classes to experience what's going on in the community. But my little twist is let's take a look at how the leaders that run those programs function and operate, and what lessons as leaders can we take away to apply to our own lifestyles.
Yeah, absolutely. And listening to, you talk about LEAP on the Monica Sanford show back in June, you made a really good point in saying that, everyone's going to lead in some capacity in their life. It's, when I entered Leadership Pensacola, my viewpoint on it was that, okay, well, I'm just kind of like a lowly account executive where I'm at. So I'm not really in like a leadership role. But then you start to remember, some of the things that you're already doing. Like I'm very heavily involved with Autism Pensacola. I'm on the executive committee there, which is essentially a leadership role. So allowing that program to kind of help me to build that leadership structure. But not only that, the bonds that you develop with the community as well. I wanted to participate in a curriculum day, but, like I told you, like 2 weeks after graduation, I kind of felt a calling to this.
Yeah.
Because not only is this going to allow us to connect the alumni from, past classes to current classes, but, if this reaches the right people, it's going to allow folks in the community to see, hey, this is much bigger than just like a C-level, a C-suite executive development program. This is for folks who are wanting to get involved in the community to develop those leadership skills so they know where they can fit in and how they can fit in. So I think it's very important that, the alumni not only get involved, but also share their involvement with everybody that they know to continue expanding on that. So talking about this year's class, what do you see as far as where they're at now, and where do you think, that development is going to lead? Like, do you see them really kind of clicking so far, because I think at this point, when we're shooting, we had one day, so opening retreat probably.
Well, they had opening retreat, and they had their welcome aboard, right? The 1 hour that we did where everybody just kind of introduced themselves, right? And then opening day, where they ended up picking their project.
Yeah.
And when you talk about how a class progresses, it's like any group, you're going to do that storming, forming, and norming, right? They seem to do all of that like in the course of an hour.
Yeah.
Right. Now, there's a lot more to come as they really start to get to know each other and understand where their strengths are. I'm a believer in you play to your strengths, but at the same time, as a leader, you're always a follower.
Yeah.
You're doing both. And that's one of the things I learned early on in the Navy is like, the most junior sailor we've got is in charge of somebody. Or maybe not. Maybe they are the junior person, but you give it a week and now they're in charge of somebody.
Yeah.
And so you have to understand what your leadership role is, how you can help those people, and how you can help those that are leading you. So that's kind of the expectation. One of the things we're doing is we're using a personality inventory to kind of get an idea of, what are your strengths so that you know how you can facilitate and help in a group.
Yeah.
And everybody has that. And so now they know their little niche that they can help work in. And we're going to try and organize the committees for those projects based on a balance of that, so that they have this continuum across the year of being able to see how different personalities can roll together and work together for a bigger purpose.
Absolutely. And I think it's great the way, because I think, when people think of these kinds of programs, they just think, okay, whoever applies are going to pick the people with the most impressive resumes, most impressive applications. But there is a lot of thought that goes into, by the selection committee, who they think will mesh well together, who's going to fit well in this role and in this role. And like you said, taking the personality test, I remember taking it and thinking, this is super corny, but getting a chance to really see where the class all falls in line, what the most common trait is. I think that was really interesting, but also, from the standpoint that you were talking about, where it helps them helps y'all to figure out where they're going to be as far as their committee for the class project. I remember when we selected, or I guess chose, what we wanted to do as far as the class project, and I remember talking to all my classmates, and everybody picked something that was outside of what they're currently doing. So all the marketing folks didn't want to be on the marketing side of things. Me being in sales, I did not want to be in fundraising or anything like that. Then when the time came, I was in fundraising. I'm like, oh my gosh, why am I in this role? But it's because y'all realize, where we fit in well, and the project turned out fantastically. So I think really it's just a matter of leaning into what current leaders have been through, what they see in others, and then just kind of taking that and running with it and realizing, okay, this is a learning, mode for me. So with that, the class project, tell me a little bit about this year's class project. I wanted Meg to be here because Meg's the project chair this year, right?
Yes, she is. And she was in my class as well.
Yeah, I wanted her to be here. I tried reaching out to her on Facebook, but I couldn't get a hold of her in time.
Well, you should have told me. You should have said, hey, Meg, you got to be here at this time. She would have told me no. She is a fantastic project manager. And so that is really going to bring a nice element to this project itself. Last year, your class project manager works closely with Meg in project management. So again, playing to your strengths. A lot of people want to, work on their weaknesses, which is good, but you've got to recognize that, you've been given certain talents, and those are what you should use to really help make things better. So this year's class, the project is working with Family Promise, whose primary purpose is to take individuals who don't have homes, don't have a place to live, and they're trying to bring themselves up and get rolling again, give them a place to live while they get some training and education on how to manage their lives with whatever problems they happen to be dealing with. And they typically stay there for a couple of weeks, and then they're off on their own. They have a very low I don't want to say failure rate, but they have a low incident of individuals that end up not moving forward and being able to live on their own and take care of their families. So we're pretty excited about that. Part of what we're doing a little different from what you guys did is we actually have a matrix that shows every individual and where their strengths are, and they will get a copy of that. And so we're going to do training as we go along on how to fit people in so that those strengths complement each other.
Interesting. Yeah. And that was something, because I had Todd on for the last episode, of something that we kind of talked about as far as the progression of Leadership Pensacola. So as far as this year's class, what is one thing that you really just want to make sure that they get out of this experience as far as their leadership growth?
I think that's just it. I want them to see a pathway for their own personal leadership skill set to grow. Where do I fit in a leadership continuum, and how do I build and grow that so that I can help others move on as well? So it's that mentorship piece. If you know who you are and what you're good at, then you can help others that are working on that particular skill set. So I wouldn't be good at somebody trying to do accounting, right? Yeah. Just not, because I do my math with 2s and 5s. It's close enough, and that works. Yeah, that's exactly what happened with our class. Then we had 3 people on the finance committee, and all 3 of them were already in finance because nobody else is. Right.
finance is a very niche
Right.
subject. So
Yeah, and I understand the desire to do something different, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's an opportunity because you're not getting graded on it. But at the same time, the program is about making Pensacola a better place. And why not take what you're really good at and really build on that and push that forward?
Absolutely. And that's kind of what happened with our project is within the project committee itself for our class, there were the different committees for each subsection. So, the construction piece, the fundraising piece, the finance piece, and everybody came, together really nicely. But within those communities, everybody developed really close relationships. And I think in the end, everybody was very proud and very just honored to even A, have been a part of it, but B, to have such a lasting impact on the community because I'm sure, like you remember, my mom had passed away during the program, and that's what Valerie's House is all about, is the peer-to-peer mentoring. So to have that lasting impact and to have a deeper meaning for me now, it really means a lot because, my office is right around the corner. I pass it all the time, and it's just nice to be able to see that and to say, like, I'm a part of this community now. Like, this is something that I've contributed to.
Right.
Yeah, it's really amazing. But
I'm glad you said that because I was getting ready to ask what you took away from your class that was the, not necessarily the big learning point, although I'd love to know what you learned about yourself. But what was the thing about Leadership Pensacola that would drive you to tell others to get involved? Because you mentioned the selection process. The selection process is designed to bring, those that have been leaders in organizations at the C-suite level and those who are just kind of rolling on in, and you can learn from each other. So I'm curious, what you think.
Yeah, a lot of what I gathered from it was that, leave no stone unturned. With the Leadership Pensacola program, I met a lot of people that I wouldn't normally meet, people who work within marketing departments of companies that I don't typically interact with. People like CJ Dancy. CJ works, in the same field as me in Medicare and health insurance, but because we're technically competitors, I would never typically talk to him. But, throughout the program, we really leaned into each other, during open enrollment season because, October through December is like a really busy time of year for us. So being able to lean into each other and to kind of talk about what our strategies are and things of that nature was really cool to kind of see from a different perspective how that works. But most importantly, the relationships that you develop.
Yeah.
Again, when my mom passed, my Leadership Pensacola class rallied around me.
Yeah, they did.
Like family.
Yeah.
And I would not trade them for the world. I told them this the day that they got me a card to, let me know they were thinking of me, which I really appreciate. And I told them this that day, and I'll continue to tell them that I would die for every last one of them because they are that special to me. You start to learn not only what they do in the community, but you start to learn about them as individuals. And again, leaving no stone unturned, it allows you to really, as a leader, see that that's a big part of being a leader, is knowing your people. If you don't know your people on a deeper level, you're not going to know how exactly to lead them. If you're just kind of taking it at face value and saying, okay, well, I know this person does this job, so let me just direct them in that way. But if they're, struggling with ADHD or they have something going on at home with family or with a child, you're not going to get the most out of them and you're not going to know why.
Yeah.
So I think that was the biggest thing, was really knowing your people. That was the one thing that I collected from
So
that.
something you said really kind of struck me because it's been a philosophy I've worked on, for years. And the fact that you were working with a competitor during the peak of your season, and success is not finite, right? It is not. The two of you can continue to work together to build each other up, and both of you flourish and bloom from that. That's one of the things I tried to foster in my commands, because in the Navy, you're competing against your peers to try and promote.
Yeah.
And the way I explained to these guys, I said, look, you're in leadership positions, so I'm grading you on leadership. And if you've got everything in your command is doing great, then the right thing to do is to help your peer and build them up.
Yeah.
And then everything gets better. And then you let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah.
Not worrying about yourself, but worrying about how can I help really does make the difference.
And going back to that, when we initially started, I knew CJ was kind of a competitor, so to speak, but then as I got to know him more, I realized that he only focuses on the Medicare side of things. I do Medicare, but also, under 65 individual health insurance. So we were able to meet in the middle at that point and say, okay, well, I only deal with Medicare, so let me put you in touch with, this financial advisor and this financial advisor, people who are looking for, someone to help with the under 65 health insurance, not necessarily the Medicare, because in this day and age, a lot of people are starting to retire early. They're starting to retire, 60, 62. You're not at Medicare yet, but, if you're doing really well for yourself and well enough to retire at 62, health insurance is going to be real expensive.
Yeah. So
trying to help find someone who's going to help you through that transition is super important. So again, it's just leaving no stone unturned. It's always a no unless you ask is what I've learned.
Yeah.
When it comes to talking to people, the worst they can say is no. And if they're going to say more than that, then that's probably not someone you want to work with to begin with.
Right.
Because real leaders are having those conversations, but they know how to have those conversations in a way that's going to lead to a positive resolution, where if it's a no, they can say, but I know so-and-so, or maybe later on down the road. So I think that's one of the most important things.
Yeah, and the different communities, you've got the military community, you've got the local government, you've got healthcare, all these different organizations operate and function just a little bit differently, but there is so much that you can learn from them for your own niche that it just makes sense to be involved in programs like this.
Yeah. And that's another thing, too, about this program. And you said it earlier that you joined the Navy because you had no other options. And to be entirely frank, I mean, I know personally for a while I was a little bit ignorant of that and kind of felt like, a lot of people join the military because, they don't have other options. But at the end of the day, going through military day and realizing what these men and women go through, what they're putting on the line, what they're sacrificing, because it goes beyond just sacrificing their lives and putting their bodies on the line for our country. They're also sacrificing time with family, with friends, and it goes so much deeper than just the baseline sacrifice of their own life.
Right.
They're serving our country and protecting our freedoms, and the amount of work and the amount of effort that goes into it, how tightly run it is, it's extremely impressive, and it gave me a completely newfound respect for it.
The thing about the military service that really impressed me was the families, because they're serving too.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And they didn't pick that, right? My wife and I met at McGuire's, on St. Patty's Day, and she was very skeptical, right? But we've been together for 33 years. The kids served. That's just what they grew up in, and it was just natural for them. When I say I didn't have any options, I had plenty of options, but with a psychology degree and a 2.2 average, you kind of start looking, what am I going to do? And I wanted a motorcycle, and there were signing bonuses. I didn't qualify for any of that, but that's what led me down that path, and I just found something that felt good. I wanted to make a difference. That's all I ever wanted to do, was just make a difference, and I saw in the military an opportunity to make a difference. And that's why I'm still involved training the next generation of aviators. It's just, you can see an opportunity, to take that individual that you're working with for just a couple of hours and really impart upon them something that is going to be lifelong lasting. Yeah, absolutely. And that's another thing too I learned about the military is, at face value, you see them as like these rough and tough guys, like, standing up straight, sir, yes, sir. But it's like getting to know you. In military day, listen to Commander Shishadi talk. Y'all are just wonderful people. Y'all are super funny, just super kind. And it's just like, it's amazing that we have those kinds of people in this community that are leading in leadership roles. So I appreciate that about y'all so much. I don't think you can spend a lot of time in the military without a good sense of humor, because there's some things you just kind of have to, I'm just going to have to laugh at this because there's the option's just not. The other option's not good. Yeah. No. Commander Shaddy was telling us about his call sign. Do you have a call sign, by the way? Yeah. What is your call sign? Homer. Homer? Homer. How'd you get that? It's a pretty sad story. It's just because my wife's from Homerville, and I know Village's story, and I know what he has told people, and I also know the real story. Oh, boy. I'll have to have a conversation. Yeah, he's not going to divulge that. Yeah. No. Well, good. Well, I appreciate you coming on. We have one more thing that we're going to do. It's a little game that we're starting to do. All right. We call it the Perfect Pensacola Day. So the way it works, the Pensacola Chamber has given you 24 hours, 100% free, do whatever you want for the entire day. So I'm going to give you some prompts,
You're just going to answer them to the best of your ability, all right?
Okay.
All right. So starting your day, most important meal of the day, breakfast. Where are you going and what are you getting?
I'm trying to remember the name of the restaurant. Oh, man. Well, Hub Stacy's out there in the Key. Usually a really good breakfast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a super cool spot, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right by the water.
Yeah. You forgot your coffee. Do you drink coffee or tea?
Oh, yeah.
You do? All right. So you forgot your coffee or tea at breakfast. So where are you going to get coffee or tea?
Probably whatever small coffee shop I can find.
Yeah.
Bodacious is good.
Bodacious is good. I feel like you're a black coffee drinker. I feel like
Absolutely. Just straight.
Yep.
Otherwise,
I
it
figured.
just takes too long to figure it out.
I try to stick with black coffee as much as possible, but there's this Silk, the almond milk. They have a Silk creamer. It's like a sweet and creamy creamer. It just does the trick every single time. If I have I have a really bad sweet tooth, so if the sweet tooth is kicking in the morning, I'll dump a little bit of that in there. All right, got your coffee or tea. What are you doing now? You got a couple hours to kill before lunch. What do you typically like to do on a free day?
If I got a free day, I'm grabbing the sailboat and heading out.
There you go.
So
Nice.
that's typically the plan on the weekends. That's where you'll find me, is out in the bay.
There you go. All right.
Which usually lasts all the way through lunch, dinner, and then back to the slip in the evening.
Well, you're back to shore for lunch. So what are you getting for lunch?
Yeah, not sure.
Not sure. You have anything you want, as long as it's in Pensacola or Pensacola Beach. Even if it's like a fast food restaurant, you got like a guilty pleasure, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm not big on the fast food. Yeah, probably a random food truck.
Yeah.
I like the food truck garden
Oh, yeah.
downtown. It gives you an options. You choose those, yeah.
Well, there you go. All right. So you got a few hours to kill before dinner. Do you read? You got any books that you're reading?
They tend to be mostly tech pubs.
Okay. So you got a couple hours to read a book. What book are you reading? Or if you have a book recommendation?
Well, I forgot what I usually start with in the morning, which is, a good solid 20, 30 minutes in the Bible.
Amen.
So if you're going to give me the afternoon, I'm probably going to catch up on what I missed because I went for breakfast.
Yeah. I've got a counselor who's a pastor as well. His ideology is a proverb a day. So whatever day it is to read a proverb. So today is the 21st, so reading Proverbs 21. So that's what I've been doing lately. And it's been nice. It's been eye-opening and really uplifting. All right. After dinner, well, actually, no, hold on. It's dinner time.
Dinner time.
Where are we going to dinner?
Wherever my wife wants to go.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's a good answer. What's her favorite place, you know?
She tends to change it up, but where did we go recently? Yeah, you put me on the spot. I usually just, where are we going?
And we're going to show this to her, too. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, she knows that I have no idea where I'm going this time, so that's pretty easy.
There you go. All right. After dinner drinks, where are you going?
The whiskey bar.
Whiskey bar?
Yeah.
I've been wanting to go for so long. I haven't gotten a chance to go. I need to go.
Yeah, she's okay with bourbons too. So
is she?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. There you go. You got
so
yourself a keeper.
I can usually talk her into that.
There you go. I like that. There you go. All right. So it looks like the Wahoos and the Ice Flyers both play at home at the exact same time tonight. Which game are you going to?
Wahoos.
Wahoos?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Rather be outside.
Yeah. It's so hot right now, though.
Yeah. And I don't understand.
Hopefully by the time this
hockey.
airs, it's a lot cooler.
I don't understand hockey rules. So,
yeah. No, neither do I. I've got a buddy who's really into hockey, and we played basketball together. He just randomly became obsessed with hockey, which made no sense to me. But, all right, midnight snack. We couldn't figure out why, but literally everything in town was open. So we got you a little bit of everything of all of your favorites. So we're going to run through a list of your favorites, and you just let us know what it is, all right?
All right.
Your favorite pizza locally?
We've started going to what's right there. Yeah, you're killing me because names are not my thing.
Yeah. Where's it at? Might be able to help.
Right off of Barrancas.
Oh, Lost Pizza.
Yes, Lost Pizza.
I've heard Lost Pizza is really good.
It's very good.
Yep, I've been to the one out in Fort Walton Beach, I think it is.
Okay.
But I haven't been to the one in Pensacola. I heard the one in Pensacola, like downtown, is really good.
It is.
Awesome. Favorite sushi? Do you like sushi?
No.
No, fair enough.
If it's deep fried.
Yeah. How about instead of sushi, favorite seafood? We'll do favorite seafood.
Favorite seafood is going to be pretty much any fish.
You have a favorite fish?
Not really. Snapper's always good.
Yep. Snapper's always really good. All right. Favorite barbecue?
Mine.
Hey, there we go. I'll come over for that. Yeah, awesome. You got a method. You got a dry rub of sorts. Your own secret recipe.
It's usually just a mix of whatever happens to be in the cabinet.
Fair enough.
That sounds good today.
All right. Favorite tacos or favorite Mexican food?
Not really.
Not really.
Not really.
No.
Not big on the mix.
Really?
No.
Oh man.
Now I'll do a fish taco,
Yeah.
but those tend to be much more of a California type of
it's
food.
very Mexican food is a little hit or miss around here. I will say.
It just always seems to sit heavy.
Yeah, so my wife is from Georgia. There's a lot of good Mexican up in Georgia, a lot of good Mexican over in Texas, but I mean, at least in the Panhandle, there's not really much of anything. I don't think. I mean, I personally like Pedro's is really good. I know Vallarta's is really good, kind of. El Asador is really good. I really like El Asador. Going to El Asador, getting tacos, and then going over to Lupita's, the truck right there, and then getting street corn, and then just kind of having like a little smorgasbord. So
we've got a couple of trucks out there in the Perdido area. And
okay.
Yeah, the street corn really ticks me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And then last but not least, favorite burger?
Probably Tops.
Tops?
Yeah.
That's been the favorite so far.
Yeah.
Really has been the favorite so far.
It's unique.
Good. Yeah. Well, good. Well, Scott.
You forgot ice cream. You got to go for ice cream.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No,
yeah.
we'll put that on there. You can be the first one to answer. Favorite ice cream?
Oh, usually it's pretty much any ice cream.
Yeah.
I'll just hit an ice cream stop.
So I'm out in Gulf Breeze. So right now my favorite ice cream is the Twist, which is like right off of Navarre Beach. It's like tucked away right behind the Navarre Beach Chamber. It's phenomenal. I'm a big soft serve guy. I grew up on soft serve, but last time I went, it was so hot. It gave it to me, and then by the time I went and sat down, the whole thing was just all over my hands.
Yeah,
so I had to get some hard ice cream. It was like a dark chocolate. It was so good.
When we were in Texas, we got introduced to Bluebell.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's good stuff.
Yeah, there were at least 3 or 4.
As far as commercially made ice cream goes, Bluebell's are real good.
Absolutely the tops.
Oh yeah, awesome. Well, Scott, thank you for joining me and coming on and talking a little bit about the class this year. Super excited for what y'all have coming up. I know that the time that this is coming out, I think, when is SimSoc this year?
SimSoc is the end of September, beginning of October?
The beginning of October.
October
11th. So I think like the day of maybe this podcast is probably going to come out the day of SimSoc.
Oh, okay.
So that'll be interesting. You excited for that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, SimSoc's always fun. Always fun.
Yeah, depending on how this turns out,
what room were you in for SimSoc?
I was in the green. They won't let the military and some of the others. So.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I was red room. That wasn't fun.
Yeah.
They got real hot
maybe
in
we'll
there.
play this in the red room. Depending on how it turns out, right?
Yeah, there you go. All right. Well, thank you all for watching. For you Leadership Pensacola alumni who are not signed up or are not up to date on your alumni dues, pay up. $40 annually, super easy, super simple. Said this last episode. One lucky person, if you ask me, I might pay your membership dues for a year. Maybe, just maybe. And then at the time that this episode's coming out, nominations will be taken. If you got anybody in mind that you think would be great for the program, please send them our way. We'd be happy to have them.
Yep.
For LeapCast, I'm Mike White. Thanks for watching and listening.